So friends, welcome to my second lecture on probability. So in this lecture, we'll see the different laws associated with the probability. We'll see one or two examples, and then we'll see what is the application of probability in animal genetics and breeding. So let's start with the laws of probability. So first law is additive law, which is also known as theorem of total probability. And many times in numerical questions, you will see the common word or. That is why it is also known as or law. So we'll see in one example, then it will be more clear. When events are mutually exclusive, so there are two conditions when we are applying additive law depending on the nature of events. So when events are mutually exclusive, the probability of occurrence of one or the other event of a set of equally likely and mutually exclusive event is the sum of the separate probabilities of the occurrence of separate event of the set. So suppose you are tossing a coin. So you are having a set of event which includes event head and event tail. So if you want to know the occurrence of either head, probability of occurrence of either head or tail. So here you can note the word or. So probability of occurrence of either head or tail. So the probability of one or the other event of a set of equally likely event. Here you can see that head and tail is equally likely if mutually exclusive event, and the probability of occurrence of either head or tail is the sum of the separate probabilities of occurrence of separate event of the set. So mathematically you can understand it by this formula P, that is probability of occurrence of E1 or E2 or En. So what will be the probability of occurrence of E1 or E2 or En? It will be equal to probability of occurrence of E1 plus probability of occurrence of E2 plus probability of occurrence up to probability of En. In nutshell, you can say that it is the summation of probability of occurrence of each of the event, that is event I, where I can vary from 1 to n. So in case of tossing a coin, head is one event and tail is another event. So what will be the occurrence of either head or tail? So the probability of occurrence of head is 1 by 2 and probability of occurrence of tail is also 1 by 2. So it is quite simple, because if you are tossing a coin, you will get, there is 50% of chance of occurrence of head and 50% chance of the occurrence of tail. So if you want to know what is the probability of occurrence of either head or tail, then you have to add the individual probability of occurrence of head and individual probability of occurrence of tail. So which will be 1 by 2 plus 1 by 2, that means it will be 1. So probability of occurrence of either head or tail is 1. That is 100%. Either there will be head or there will be tail. Now, just see one example that already I have discussed. In case of tossing a coin, the event head and tail are equally likely and mutually exclusive event. The probability of getting head on tossing a coin, probability of getting head on tossing a coin. So always, since there are only two events associated with tossing a coin, so the occurrence, and which is mutually exclusive event. So occurrence of these two events will be equal. That is 1 by 2. How it will come 1 by 2? The probability of occurrence of head is equal to case favorable to the event head. So case favorable to the event head will come only one time, and then there will only be one head. Then total event possible on tossing a coin. So total events are 2, head and tail. So that is why the probability comes to 1 by 2. Similarly, the probability of getting tail pt it will be 1 by 2. Then what will be the probability of either head or tail? So it will be ph or t is equal to individual probability of occurrence of head plus individual probability of occurrence of tail. So 1 by 2 plus 1 by 2 is equal to 1. So this already we have discussed. Now another scenario when events are not mutually exclusive. When events are not mutually exclusive. So we have already discussed what are the mutually exclusive events, what are the not mutually exclusive events. So suppose if E1 and E2 are mutually non-exclusive events, then the probability of occurrence of either of them is obtained as the sum of their individual probability minus the probability of their simultaneous occurrence. So this is important, probability of their simultaneous occurrence. So the formula that we had seen for mutually exclusive event will be changed. And how it will be changed? So P, that means probability of occurrence of E1 or E2 is equal to probability of occurrence of E1, that means event 1, plus probability of occurrence of E2, that is probability of occurrence of event 2, and it will be the sum of these two probability will be subtracted by probability of joint occurrence or probability of simultaneous occurrence of these two events, that is P E1 into E2. So whenever the events are mutually not exclusive, then formula will be P1 plus P2 minus P1 into E2. That means the simultaneous occurrence of particular event will be subtracted from the sum of individual occurrence of these two events. Now you can see when events are not mutually exclusive and there are many events. So here I have taken one example of 3 events. So that is P E1 or E2 or E3. So what will be the probability? What will be the probability of either E1 or E2 or E3? So the probability will be the individual probability of event 1 plus individual probability of event 2 plus individual probability of event 3. Now it will be subtracted with the joint probability or simultaneous occurrence of event 1 with event 2, event 1 with event 3, then event 2 with event 3, and all the 3 events together, that is probability of occurrence of event 1 plus event 1, 2 and 3. So these all joint occurrences will be subtracted from the sum of individual probabilities of all the 3 events. So in practical classes, when you will solve the numerical problems, then you will realize how this formula will work, and then you will get the clear cut idea. Suppose what I have taken here 1 or 2 examples. Suppose you are having a pack of 52 cards. So you are having a pack of cards which contains 52 cards, where A is equal to event of drawing an ace card. So ace card, A is the event of drawing an ace card. Ace card, when we are taking from the pack of 52 card, that event is called as A, and B is the event of drawing heart card. So event of drawing heart card is known as A, is supposed to be B. Now we have to determine the probability of drawing either ace or a heart. Either ace or a heart. So now after seeing question, you have to determine whether this is mutually exclusive event or mutually non-exclusive event. Here you can see what are the events? Events are the drawing of an ace card. So you can remember how many ace card are there in pack of 52 cards. So it will be, there are 4 ace cards. 4 ace cards in the pack of 52 cards. Now what are the numbers? How many heart cards are there in a pack of 52 cards? So you can that there are 13 heart card. 13 heart card. So now 4 ace card and 13 heart card. But there will be one ace card of heart. One ace card of heart. That is why this event is mutually non-exclusive. Non-exclusive why? Because ace and heart is occurring together. So that is why we will apply the formula of mutually non-exclusive event, and then we have to find the probability of drawing either ace or heart. So what will be the probability? Probability P, A or B. Probability of occurrence of A or B. So it will be probability of occurrence of A plus probability of occurrence of B minus probability of simultaneous occurrence of A and B. So here in terms of card I have written probability of occurrence of ace or heart is equal to probability of occurrence of ace plus probability of occurrence of heart, and it will be subtracted by simultaneous occurrence of probability of ace and heart. So just by the knowledge of previous knowledge of card, number of cards, number of cards of each color, you can say that what is the probability of occurrence of ace? The probability of occurrence of ace is 4 out of 52. So 4 by 52 plus what will be the probability of occurrence of heart? It is 13 out of 52. So 13 by 52. 4 by 52 plus 13 by 52, it will be subtracted by joint, that means simultaneous occurrence of probability of ace and heart. So it will be probability of ace is 4 by 52 into probability of occurrence of heart is 13 by 52. So 4 by 52 into 13 by 52. So this will be, if you solve this equation, you can solve this equation and you will get the probability of occurrence of either ace or heart is 4 by 13. So hopefully now you can clearly differentiate between the application of formula for mutually exclusive or mutually non-exclusive events. Now this is the typical example that I have taken to distinguish between the mutually exclusive and mutually non-exclusive event, and in this example the concept will be, your concept will be more clearer. See this, in this example a bag, there is one bag which contains 30 balls, and the balls has been numbered from 1 to 30, that means 1 2 3 4 5 up to 30. And now what is the question is telling, if one ball is drawn at random, suppose I am drawing one ball at random, what is the probability that it bears a number multiple of 5 or 6? So what is the probability that ball which is numbered and that number is either multiple of 5 or multiple of 6? So I think question is clear to you. We have to draw a ball and we have to find the probability that the ball that we have got is either multiple of 5 or multiple of 6. So from question we can assume that let A and B, the event that ball has multiple of 5 or 6 respectively. So first of all we have to know what are the multiples of 5 and what are the multiples of 6. So the first we'll see the multiple of 5. So multiple of 5 between 1 to 30, what will be the multiple of 5? So 5, then 10, 15, 20, 25 and 30. So total 6 multiples, Similarly, what will be the multiple of 6? What will be the multiple of 6? That means multiple of event B. So the 6, 12, 18, 24 and 30. So there will be 5 multiples. So now since one ball having its number 30, now we have to from this question, now we have to find whether this event is mutually exclusive or non-exclusive. So you can see in this event this 30 is common in both the events. 30 is common in both the events. It is both multiple of 5 and multiple of 6. So that is why A and B are not mutually exclusive event. So in this manner, you have to find from the question that our question tells or explain about the mutually exclusive event or mutually non-exclusive event. Now simple formula, the probability of occurrence of either A or B, that is either multiple of 5 or multiple of 6, equal to probability of A plus probability of B minus joint occurrence of probability of A and B. So now it will be 6 by 30 probability of occurrence of A, that is 6, and probability of occurrence of B, that is 5 by 30, and it will be subtracted by the joint probability or simultaneous occurrence of event A and B, that is 1 by 30. So this will be 6 plus 5 minus 1 by 30, that means 1 by 30. So the probability of occurrence of either A or B is 0.33, that is 1 by 3. Then the second law. So first law was the addition law, which is having two conditions when events are mutually exclusive, and the second one when events are mutually non-exclusive. Now the multiplicative law, which is also known as theorem of compound probability. Theorem of compound probability. And here in many of the questions you will get the word and. We'll see one example, then it will be more clear. That is why sometimes it is known as AND law. So again here also there are two conditions. First condition, when events are independent. So the probability of simultaneous occurrence of n independent event is given by the product of their product. This you have to remember. In addition law we were adding, but here you have to find out the product of their separate probability. So how it proceeds mathematically or symbolically, you can write probability of E1, E2 up to En is equal to probability of E1 into probability of E2 up to into probability of En. That means the product of all the events separately. Products of probability of all the events separately. So in a nutshell you can say that this is the summation of probability of EI, that is I event, where I is equal to 1 up to n. So this is the formula for multiplicative law when the events are independent. Now the second condition, when events are dependent. So in previous lecture we have already seen what are the dependent event and what are the independent event. So the probability of simultaneous occurrence of two dependent event. We have already seen the probability of simultaneous occurrence of two independent event. Now the two dependent event is given by product of the occurrence of the first event, product of the occurrence of first event, and the probability of occurrence of second event. Probability of product of occurrence of first event into the probability of occurrence of second event. But there is one condition. What is that condition? That the first event had already occurred. So that is why we will see in the next slide. That is why, since there is one condition, that is why this is known as conditional probability. This is known as conditional probability. So here, in other words, we can say that the probability of simultaneous occurrence of two dependent events, that is E1 and E2, is given by product of unconditional probability. First one is the unconditional probability of event E1. So event E1, there will be unconditional probability, and the conditional probability of event E2. Why conditional probability? Because event 1 has already taken place. Supposing that E1 has already occurred. So we will see one example, then it will be clear. So first we'll see the formula. So what is the formula of two dependent event? P E1 into E2 is equal to P E1, that is unconditional probability of event 1, into probability of E2 by E1, that is conditional probability of event 2. Similarly, if there are more than 2 events or there are n events, then it will be P1 into Pe2 by E1 into Pe3 by E1 into E2, and similarly it will be P En by E1 into E2 into E3 up to En minus 1. So this is the probability for n events. Here in this case, this one here, Pe2 by E1 is known as conditional probability. Why conditional probability? Because event E1 has already taken place, already occurred. That is why it is known as conditional probability. So the conditional probability itself is a very big chapter to discuss, but for undergraduate student, as an undergraduate student, we should know what is conditional probability, what is the basic formula for it, and you should have the basic concept of conditional probability. Now, just see one example, a simple example. From this example, the conditional probability will be more clearer to you. So, you are having one bag which contains 7 red and 3 black balls. So, a bag is having 10 balls, 7 red and 3 black. Now, the 2 balls are drawn. What we have done? We have drawn 2 balls at random, but one after the other without replacement. So, this is very important, without replacement. So, you have taken one ball first, and then you have taken second one without replacing the first one. So, find the chance that both balls are black. So, you have to find now what is the probability of getting both the balls as black. So, let B1 and B2 denote the probability of drawing first and second ball without replacement. So, what will be the B1? Probability of B1, that means PB1. What will be the probability PB1? So, PB1 is the probability of occurrence of probability of drawing black ball. So, you are having only 3 black balls. So, what will be the probability? 3 black balls out of 10. So, probability will be 3 by 10. This 3 by 10. Now, second ball you have drawn, but while drawing second ball, you have not replaced first one. So, now there will be only 2 black ball. Only 2 black ball. Instead of 3, now you are having only 2 black ball. And the total balls also has been reduced from 10 to 9. So, the probability of again drawing black ball, it will be 2 by 9. So, the probability of joint occurrence, that means probability of B1 and B2, it will be 3 by 10 into 2 by 9, that is 6 by 90, that means 1 by 15. So, this is how we are finding the conditional probability. So, hopefully, conditional probability and all the laws of probability, that is addition law and multiplication law, under both the condition, in addition law, mutually exclusive event and mutually non-exclusive event, and in a multiplication law, dependent event and independent event and dependent event. It is the formulas for each condition is clear to you. Now, what are the application of probability? Application, here will be discussing the application of probability with reference to animal genetics and breeding. There is lot of application of probability, many things in many day-to-day science, arts, business, we are applying the probability. But here I will be restricting myself towards the application of probability in animal genetics and breeding. So, the concept of probability is basic to what? Basic to many principles of classical genetics, that is segregation, independent assortment, etc. These classical principle of genetics that you might have studied in your +2 or you will be studying in next unit, that is segregation and independent assortment, are based on probability. The laws of probability may be applied to any subject which involves chance. So, when there will be chance, you have to apply the law of probability. The study of probability is closely related to genetics. Why? Because it involves a statistical analysis of ratio of various characteristics. You might have studied the ratio in Mendel's law, and these ratios are all based on the principles of probability. So that is why in genetics your application of probability is vast. Now, when applied to genetic or hereditary problems, one can know the chance of bearing a normal child based on the probability, that example in albinism. So in human or in animals also, there are many genetic diseases like albinism, color blindness, hemophilia, etc. These diseases you can predict in future generation, or means whether this couple, if they are getting married, whether the child will be having particular disease or not. That all calculations are based on the probability. Then law of probability can be used for predicting the ratio of boys and girls. We know that occurrence of or sex of a child is male or female. Nobody can determine it. It is just by chance. That means if there is chance, there will be probability. So with the law of probability, we can know or we can decipher the ratio of boys and girls in a population. The principle of probability can be applied in solving the problem of heredity. So this Mendel's law, these all are based on probability. That is why the problem of heredity, we have already discussed that problem of heritability can be solved with the help of probability. The practical application of law of probability is made by human geneticists and in some cases by animal breeding and analyzing the pedigree. So pedigrees can be analyzed with the help of probability. Now in coming classes or in coming lectures, I will be dealing with the different type of distributions, theoretical distribution. So these distributions are based on the probability. So that is why it is also known as probability distribution. So theoretical distribution are based on laws of probability. In fact, we are making use of probability in all aspects, all the test of significance. So in coming classes, we will be studying about the test of significance also, and this test of significance is also based on the application of probability. So with this, I am going to end the lectures on probability. In these two lectures, I have tried to cover the basic aspect or basic concept of probability, different types of probability, basic laws of probability, some formulas, and lastly the application of probability in animal breeding. So, but the probability will be more clearer when you will solve some numerical example. So it is my request that after studying theory, now you may attempt some practical numerical problems based on these laws. For that, you refer some standard textbook and try to solve the problems which has been discussed in that textbooks. So thank you. In next class, we will study about probability distribution. Thanks.